TNN Motorsports presents the American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade.
1991 Winston top alcohol champion Blaine Johnson is well on his way to clinching the big #1 again in 1992. But not before Shelly Anderson and the other women of the sport make that goal as difficult as possible. First, at the recent Southern Nationals, it was Shelly, daughter of former alcohol funny car champion Brad Anderson, besting Johnson in the two most important aspects of the sport, driving ability and performance. But here in Memphis, Shelly will not make it two in a row against the champ, as she fouled out in round 1 yesterday, leaving the red light in her way.
I rolled in, put the first light on, then put the second light on, and then the top light went out, and I saw it, and I grabbed the brake, and it rolled all the way through. It actually just kept pulling. It didn't help at all.
So with Shelly out, it'll be left to others to try to derail Blaine Johnson at the 5th annual Autolite SportsNATIONALS from Memphis Motorsports Park, just outside of Memphis, Tennessee. But the female side of the category may not yet be through with young Mr. Johnson. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and meet Amy Falk, a native of Memphis. She's won national events before. Amy, you brought a brand new car here. The frame broke, the suspension broke, and then what happened?
Well, then we decided that we just didn't want to try to patch it up, so we called Mike Williams that bought the car. He's had an old car up in storage about 2.5 years, so we got it out of the rafters and flatbedded out here on the tow truck and worked to about 2 o'clock in the morning and put it back together.
They had to tack it, you had to qualify it, and then you beat Jay Payne round 1. Amazing.
Well, that's, you know, the girls kind of picking on the guys. Jay and Shelly win first round, I think. Well, in Atlanta and everything, she took care of him there, so I asked him, you know, if he was picking on the girls or the girls picking on him, but he said he liked girls. Now, I don't know if that's true now or not, but we'll take it any way we can get it.
Looking forward to seeing it. Okay, now let's go to Brock Yates with the funny car story.
Oh, Steve, we've seen this beautiful alcohol funny car in Victory Circle a whole lot over the years, and I'll guarantee you we're going to see it some more as this season goes on. But Brad Anderson is not in the seat anymore. He's turned those driving chores over to his son, Randy, who's yet again top qualifier here at Memphis. But interesting things happening, Randy. Pat Austin, who has never won here at Memphis, you're probably going to face him if all goes according to form in the semifinals. That makes an interesting matchup. Probably extra pressure on Austin because he's going to try for his first victory, and I think you got a feeling maybe you can handle him.
Well, I wouldn't say I got a feeling I think I can handle him, but I'm pretty confident. I've been outrunning him here, and I think he'll bring out the best in me. I'm looking forward to racing him.
Are you sure doing a great job so far this season, your first year in sportsman competition, and I'm sure Dad has been a big help in kind of settling things down and telling you how to run these cars.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Jolly Rancher and Kindle, Motor Oil, NGK, they've all been a big help, and there's no question I got the finest car out here, and we're going to win some races.
Well, we're sure looking forward to that matchup.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now for more on the sportsman competition here, let's go to our broadcast partner, Bob Fry.
Thanks a lot, Brock. You're looking at the front end of the awesome street roadster, Vinny Barone. One of the cars we'll be seeing in competition eliminator, the third class we'll take a look at here this weekend. 32 different classes make up the overall eliminator bracket. Street roadster's one of them, and I don't think they come much better than Vinny Barone. Vinny, tell us about your race car.
Well, it's a Jerry Haas race car. It's basically a pro stock chassis with a 33 replica Ford body on it, and it has lamb struts in it, coilover shocks. It's the same thing as the pro stockers would run. We have a 5-speed transmission in it and a 4-barrel carburetor restricted. That's what we're allowed to run in this A Street Roadster class.
This is a great eliminator field we have here.
Oh, this is a tough field. Tell you the truth, Bob. It's probably right now, the way the conditions are, we have the best cars here in the country, but the way the conditions are, we feel we're one of the faster cars, and we run 52 under first round against Todd Patterson, and that was a pretty awesome run at 90-degree temperature at, you know, 1:32 in the afternoon. So I think that we have a real good shot at winning this race if I keep my head on and drive straight and be the man.
Vinny Barone, he's the man in comp eliminator. Steve?
Okay, Bob, thanks. Enough of the talking. Let's get to the racing, Brock Yates. Maybe it'll take our mind off the heat. Boy, it's a sizzler out here.
It is cozy here today, as usual in Memphis, Tennessee, this time of the season. All right, that is Chuck Baer doing his burnout in top alcohol dragster round 2 competition. And Steve, he's going against Brooks Brown in a really unique automobile.
Well, the first thing you'll notice when we see a close-up of it, Brooks' Brown car has no supercharger on it, but the huge difference is it has nitro in the tank because it doesn't use a blower. That's allowed. Let's talk a little more about the conventional car, though, of Chuck Baird. It's a 432 cubic inch supercharged Hemi on straight methanol fuel. NHRA checks that every round to make sure there's no illegalities, no additives in the fuel. It's a Tom Conway built motor. Conway himself a big-time winner in the class. Baird from Assumption, Illinois, is really trying to win his first NHRA national event here to get this far. Well, he's making good progress. Brooks Brown. Brooks Brown is a 19-year-old kid from Bass Lake, California, driving a car owned by Tom Topping. That's the nitro car. Look at this. It is Brooks Brown. There is Tom Topping, the car owner. Oh, my. Both cars run 6.02 seconds. Both drivers hit 223 miles an hour. Brooks Brown wins it with a better reaction time off the starting line.
There you can see it, a good launch by Brooks Brown in the far lane. And it was, as you say, a hole shot that won it for him because these cars ran almost identical ETs and top speeds. But there is a nitro-powered, unsupercharged automobile of Brooks Brown just charging toward the finish line. It looks as if Baird made up a little bit of distance right near the end, but not enough. Steve?
Brooks, a 6:02, and it looks like this car is starting to respond to your touch off the starting line. It didn't before.
No, it didn't. We've been having real clutch problems this year, especially this weekend. We've been struggling real hard with it, and we put a whole different clutch in it that we learned, got some parts from the top fuel guys, and it really helped out.
It's still spinning the tires just a little bit, though.
Yeah, it spun them just a little bit off the start line, then it took off, which I didn't mind me. It shook pretty good, and I shifted, and it drove right by them.
Put it in the fives for us.
I'll try my best.
Is there a 5 in that car? Well, stick around. We'll find out. That's Terry Mullins, top alcohol funny car. We'll see him race Tony Bartone in a little while in round 2. We got lots more coming from Memphis. Stick with us.
We're back at the NHRA Autolite SportsNATIONALS in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates. And that is Tom Conway, one of the real powerhouses in top alcohol dragster racing. A former Winston champion, a guy who doesn't need a lot of racing luck, but he gets it anyway. He has got a bye run here in the second round because David Wells, his scheduled opponent, could not make the call. So Conway from Seminole, Oklahoma, his wife out front there, she does so much of the work on this car. He couldn't race without her, I guarantee it. But he won't take it easy, Brock. I guarantee you that, too.
No, definitely not. This is a very competitive field, and he wants lane choice for sure as he heads into the semifinals. So it's going to be interesting to see how he runs this car. We know he's capable of very stout runs, but it's hot. It's a little bit greasy. All right, Conway underway, headed toward the lights. Let's see what he runs.
Oh, yeah. Low elapsed time of the day for Tom Conway at 6:01, and he had a reaction time equal to Brooks Brown, even though he had no opponent. So he was really sharpening up not only the car, but himself. Ooh, that is not good news for guys like Bill Barney, and you can bet sitting back there waiting to fire, he saw the scoreboards. Bill Barney in that Castro GTX car will be up against this man, Tony Pedregon.
Going to be an interesting deal. Barney has lane choice as we see Pedregon do his burnout. Bill Barney, well, he ran a 6:04 in round 1, so he definitely is in the running with Tom Conway for low ET, and he can run against anybody. We know that. Let's go to Steve with Conway at the far end.
Tom, pretty as a picture, 6:01.
Oh, I'm glad to see that. We're doing a lot of experimenting this weekend, and first round yesterday we tried some stuff we've never tried, and it looked pretty good, so we thought we'd see what happened on this single.
Looked like it got a bit sideways when you pulled the parachute.
I guess the parachute grabbed it. It got real sideways. It kind of concerned me for a minute.
Okay, go get him.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the starting line as Tom Conway heads back to the pits to get retuned for his next pass. That is Barney, of course, moving into position. And Barney is, as we know, Steve, a really, really solid runner. Pedregon, well, he's from that Pedregon racing family in Gardena, California. Cruz, of course, the best-known member. But he knocked off Shelly Anderson in round number 1, so we know he can run as well.
Well, Shelly really beat herself. Pedregon barely got the car qualified, 15th out of a 16-car field at a 6:23. They really need to step on this car. Now, Bill Barney, now out of Knoxville, Tennessee, originally from Sacramento, California, one of the few, if not only guys that races an alcohol car full-time for a living. He doesn't sell engines to other racers like Tom Conway or Brad Anderson used to do. All he does is race that car. They moved back to Tennessee to be more centrally located and to cut down on the travel of hitting all the divisional and national events. Oh boy, Pedregon with a hole shot. This can put a whole new complexion on things, but it's Barney's major power at the far end. A 6:03 to a 6:21. 229 miles an hour for Barney. That's really something this heat, almost 230. 220 mile an hour, not much top end charge for Pedregon. Have a look again, the pretty good light in the far lane.
Oh boy, as Barney had to work to get back that few yards that Pedregon got on him off the line. And as you said, it was just raw horsepower on the part of Bill Barney. It comes into play right about 3/4 track. And here he goes on to victory. And now let's go to Barney with our pal Bob Fry at the far end.
Bill Barney in the Castrol GTX car with a great performance there under what are a little bit less than ideal conditions. This is one of the longer wheelbase cars we're going to see in competition, and apparently it hooked up pretty well. Bill winds up getting the win with a 6.03 time. 6:03, Bill. Were you happy with that?
Well, I think we lost lane choice, and we were hoping for a little better, but we were a little cautious probably.
What's this weather do to the race cars?
Oh, the main thing is what happens to the traction. We have to suffer quite a bit with when the traction goes away from the heat. Horsepower drops off and the traction both, so it's kind of a touchy situation.
Lane choice going to be a big thing?
Well, I hope not. We're going to do our best.
We'll find out. 6:03 against Conway's 6:01.
Well, speaking of the best, here he is, Blaine Johnson out of Santa Maria, California. The last 2 years, the very best alcohol dragster around with a blown Oldsmobile. You've run a lot of different kind of engine combinations in this category, as I think you're starting to see. Blaine Johnson actually got a lot of help from the Oldsmobile division of General Motors in perfecting the supercharged Oldsmobile on gasoline. It's not something you sold to a lot of people running down the highway, but Oldsmobile loves to be involved in all classes of drag racing. Now, Johnson's got to be a little bit nervous. This whole thing, we've been making a big deal out of racing the ladies. Shelly Anderson beat him the last race, and Amy Falk now, she survived all kinds of obstacles, and she is in the other lane. The lady from right here in Tennessee, she's been a world champion in the stock eliminator category, has won several national events in alcohol dragsters, and she's so attractive, Brock, and so calm, and her wonderful accent just belies the terror she is in a race car.
Oh, yeah, she is plenty good. And as you said, she qualified 8th in this field. She beat Jay Payne in round 1. And Amy Falk definitely knows her way around a drag strip. And Blaine Johnson is by no means taking her for granted. He qualified number 1 at a 6, just a wink over 6 seconds. Beat Don DeVault in round number 1. But he has his hands full, and I'm sure he knows it.
Blaine still has low elapsed time of the event. That qualifying number has not been tested today, mainly due to the increased heat, if that's possible. That 6 flat still stands. There you get a great shot down the long wheelbase car of Amy Falk. Remember now, she hasn't been in this car other than her one run yesterday to get into the field in a long, long time. It's an older automobile. So they'll bring the RPMs up very, very high. They use a clutch. Oh, Amy is dead late. Johnson with a brilliant reaction time. Amy incredibly slow. Something caused her to lose her concentration. The crews can't believe what they see. Amy runs a 6:18 and is defeated by a 6:25. The speed only 184 miles an hour for Blaine Johnson, and that tells you something broke on that car.
No question about it. There you see how late Amy was. But I'll tell you what, once she got that thing rolling, she was in the drag race. In fact, as you said earlier, her elapsed time was a lot better than Blaine's, and had she had a decent lead, she would have won it.
Oh, no question. 223 miles an hour to 184 at the finish line. Here you see him cross that stripe. And a comparison for you here to just spell out all of the numbers. The margin of victory was 7/100 of a second. You can see the reaction time from Amy of 5.7, for Johnson of 4.2, of 4.0 is a perfect light. So that's how we crunch the numbers on that replay. And here's how the final four will set up in the category. Blaine Johnson against Brooks Brown. Brown has the lane choice. Not a perfect day for Blaine Johnson. Bill Barney up against Tom Conway. Conway's having a great day. He will enjoy the lane choice. Right now, let's go down to Bob.
Blaine Johnson, two-time Winston World Champ. Blaine, you really didn't win twice the World Championship with a car performing like that, 625.
No, it blew up pretty early on that run. I don't know what happened. We restripped this blower this morning. It must be a little better than we thought. And, well, it was running good up till then. So if we can find out what happened, we'll be back for the next round in vengeance.
They'll look like line drives in the box score, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, win's a win. Anyhow it goes. Anyway you get it.
Blaine Johnson certainly dodged a bullet in that round.
Yeah, Bob, and it was fired by a lady named Amy Falk, who came very close indeed. These Oldsmobile team cars, well, they belong to David Nickens and Mike Edwards. In comp, they will face each other in round 3. Stick around, it'll be interesting.
We're back at Memphis with a peek at the pit of Brooks Brown, the ejected nitro dragster. Somewhere on that car, there's a bumper sticker that says, "Caution, child on board." Brooks is only 19 years of age. Let's go to Bob right at the far end.
Amy Falk, a former national event champion, gave the world champion all you could handle that time, but just came up a bit short.
Well, we tried. We made some changes, and honestly, it just didn't lead the line. I don't know if it was me or it just didn't feel like it accelerated when I punched it. So, but this car has been in the storage for about 2.5 years. So, Mike Williams was real nice to let us borrow it back, and it was old home folk. You know, it felt good.
We're going to see the other car again soon?
Oh yeah, we're going to take it back up and get it fixed, and it's not that bad, but I just would rather have it, you know, looked at and taken care of, and it's going to run. It's going to run. It's jealous, you know.
Amy Falk with butterflies on the wing and dusted the mothballs off of this race car to come out and race it here at Memphis.
Okay, Amy Falk, we'll see more of her in the weeks to come as we go back to the starting line, and that is Terry Mullins in the far lane. He faces Tony Bartone in round 2 of Top Alcohol Funny Car. And Bartone has lane choice, Steve, but not by a whole lot.
And lane choice, as you said earlier, could ultimately be a big factor. Now, you see that engine? It's in many ways the same as in the alcohol drag race, except it's larger. NHRA allows that because these cars are heavier, moving more mass. In fact, these things are the biggest engines in drag racing, some 550, 560 cubic inches. Now, there's his Terry Mullins' opponent. That is Tony Bartone. He'll be in the near lane, colorful car. In fact, the alcohol cars are some of the best-looking machines, I think, in the sport. Because unlike the nitro cars, they don't burn down all the time. Tony Bartone from Jericho, New York, looking for his first national event victory. Terry Mullins out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where they did all the atomic energy work prior to the first atomic bomb. Chuck Cheeseman, why are we showing you his picture? Well, in round number 1 earlier, it was Terry Mullins in the near lane and Chuck Cheeseman in the far lane. Now, you at home, just watch what happens. Problems for Chuck Cheeseman. What did I say? They seldom burn down? Well, this is the exception to the rule. The worst alcohol fire I've ever seen.
I knew I kicked the rod, and I wanted to keep the oil out from under the tires and keep it straight, and it just caught a fire. So I had to pull the fire extinguisher and put her out. She was fine.
Oftentimes, an alcohol fire is much more deceiving and dangerous than you realize, Steve, because you can't see it burn, unlike nitro or gasoline.
Yeah, well, that fire was mainly fed by oil out of the crankcase and black kind of smoke. Okay, here we go. We are back in the second round of alcohol funny car competition. Bartone squeezes the light too much. The car in the near lane has fouled out. A red light off the starting line has given the win to Terry Mullins. And boy, what a competitive race that was, though. 6:08 to the 6:08, 2:30 for the winner now, 2:32 to the red lighting Bartone. It is so tough in these categories, Brock. Every driver is looking for that advantage off the starting line. And as the technology improves, the cars are becoming better than they used to be. They hook up quicker, and there's more of those red lights.
Well, here's an interesting matchup. That is VERN MOATS, who's going to be running this young man, and we don't have to introduce him. That is Pat Austin, who has dominated this class for a number of years now. But MOATS has lane choice in this particular matchup, Steve.
He sure does. Pat Austin with over 40 victories. They're not coming as easily as they once did. Let's go to Bob Fry down at the far end with the winning Mullins.
Terry Mullins finished number 3 in Winston World Championship activity last year, and it's probably been a while since you've had a win as sweet as that one, Terry.
Oh, it was nice. I knew I had my hands full with Bartone brothers. They're tough. And, you know, I thought I got a glimpse of his fender there. I don't know what happened to him or whatever, but we're just glad to get away with that one.
Did you know that he fouled?
No, I did not. Is that right? Is that what happened? Okay. Yeah, it was tough.
He's been as strong as anybody in the circuit lately.
Oh, right now, if I had to rank anybody #1 alcohol funny car, it'd be the Bartone brothers. They got the most consistent, fastest car going.
Well, right now he's out. You're in. Terry Mullins advances.
Hey, Brock, you remember the smart bombs that got all the publicity during the Persian Gulf War? His family's aerospace company makes the smart bomb. A lot of technology in that camp.
I guess. Well, we'll see who's got the smart bomb in this particular matchup as we watch VERN MOATS, who's what a veteran. I mean, he's been around in this business for years and years and years. I remember having some big-time crashes a few years back, but he's back and doing a good job.
Absolutely, still a fearless competitor. And he's up against a young man who thinks of himself as being rather fearless as well, and a fine athlete. Pat Austin, Tacoma, Washington, the Austin clan. His brother Mike, the Cucci won the car along with Oro Vasquez. Of course, his father Walt Austin, the brain trust behind this car and the top fielder extra they run. A lot of controversy over whether running the two cars has hurt them both. I don't think so. I think alcohol funny car racing has just gotten tougher and harder for a guy like Pat to dominate. Simple as that. Here we go. Austin has problems right off the mark on this tricky track. It is VERN MOATS at a 6:13, 231 miles an hour. Austin just coasting through. Now you saw how little he was on the throttle, right? The car still runs 86 miles an hour in 10 seconds. Looks like it's just crawling, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's deceiving. Anybody run your street car down a drag strip in 10 seconds, you'd be delirious.
You need a parachute. There, right there, you see either too much clutch or too much power or too much of something. Another announcer tune-up as it comes off of the concrete and loses traction.
A lot of people will consider this an upset, but VERN MOATS, you love running at this racetrack, and you're not afraid of Pat Austin either.
Well, we get lucky every so often. Pat's a mighty sharp guy, and we're always happy if we can beat him.
You like running at this place?
Well, we've had pretty good luck. It seems like the track is usually fairly slick, and Massey's been doing a pretty good job keeping it tuned in down to the track. It got a little loose that time, but we hope we can come back with a better run.
VERN MOATS, who's won this race in the past, would like to do it again.
Well, Pat Austin just got a little bit looser. Okay, VERN MOATS will be back later on in our show. We're looking at the pit area. Bill Barney, he faces off with Tom Conway. That could be almost a dead heat in alcohol dragster racing. Stay with us from Memphis. We will be right back.
It's hot, it's humid here in Memphis at the Autolite SportsNATIONALS, but that's not slowing up the cars a whole lot as we continue with round 2 of top alcohol funny car competition. That is Tim Wilkerson doing his burnout. He will face Jackie Stidham, Stephen. As usual, these cars are just about evenly matched.
They are. Let's go down to the far end and Bob Fry again and see how Walt Austin is holding up after a rare defeat in round 2.
From a performance standpoint, were you happy with the way the Alky car was running?
Oh, no. We're trying some new stuff, and just hadn't come around, that's all.
Walt wears his heart on his sleeve. You can tell by the look they're not only disappointed the car lost, but they're not happy the way it's performing.
But they are partially in the business of selling parts. If you don't experiment, you don't have the hot parts, and you don't make any money, you don't finance your race team. So it all works hand in hand.
as we watch Tim Wilkerson backing into position. He qualified number 3, and he beat Gary Rattel in round number 1 in that automobile. So he stands well positioned to beat up on old Stidham, who was number 6. But Stidham got by Danny Townsend, who's one fine runner in every kind of competition that he in drag racing state.
Absolutely, and a lot of fine alcohol cars come out of the state of Oklahoma. Jackie Stidham, Tom Conway, we talked about earlier. Out of Springfield, Illinois, the smiling Tim Wilkerson, one of the best-looking operations around, partially sponsored by Napa Parts. All of the alcohol cars are good-looking, some just maybe a little better than others. All right, they pre-stage, as we said before, unlike their big brothers in nitro cars, they don't just stomp on a pedal with a centrifugal clutch. They got a clutch just like you have in your standard transmission. But listen now on how high they bring the engines up. Sidestep that clutch. Woo! Losing traction, almost losing complete control is Wilkinson. Jackie Stidham wins it at 622, 225 miles an hour. Just trying to rotate the world, and sometimes you can't do that, as Wilkerson found out.
Well, he had no choice but to get out of the throttle. He crossed the center line, which instantly disqualified him. Let's take another look. He was basically out of control almost from the launch. There you see Stidham making a good, solid start, but here comes Wilkerson sideways, pointing the car toward the center line. He corrects, and from there on in, it was a losing run for Wilkerson as he just got out of the power and parked the car. Bob Fry is with him.
Tim Wilkerson, he's got to hurt.
Very disappointing. Very disappointing. We really thought we had it all together this weekend, and looks like I must have let go of Rod the way it looks.
You guys have had a couple of pretty good performances the last few weekends, and that's really got to be the most ejecting part about this. He fields 2 steps forward and 1 back.
Yeah, well, these cars will do that to you, though. You know, any form of racing is a conquest. So we feel very fortunate to do what we do, and maybe we'll learn something from this and come back and do a little better job next time for everybody.
Tim Wilkerson, boy, this team went out the hard way.
Well, he mentioned it must have broke a rod. Well, then that sounds like it put oil down into the tires, and that explains the control problems. You just can't race on your own oil, more like an ice rink than a drag strip. We got a beauty coming up now. That is Stan Sipos, that Apex car for British Columbia, Canada. Maybe the comeback story of the year. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. He will be up against the young man that Brock introduced you to at the top of the show, Randy Anderson, the #1 qualifier. But right now, let's go back down to the far end, Bob Fry.
Jack, you guys might not be the fastest car out here, but you're really starting to put a lot of laps on this race car.
Yeah, well, it's didn't run the best lap we thought we wanted, but it got to the finish line first. Wilkerson's a good customer, and it's a shame that he had to have a problem with the motor and all, but I'll take them any way I can get them, and we'll worry about it the next round, I suppose.
Guys really have to be impressed over the last, I'd say, 6 or 8 months. You've put a lot of wins on the board.
Yeah, we've kind of got consistent with the car. We could run fast occasionally, and then sometimes we were off, and we just got more things consistently put together. Ronnie's getting more familiar with the motor, and I'm working the clutch end of it. We'll work pretty good together that way, so hopefully we can keep it going that way and be in the final round.
Jackie Stidham drives the time machine, and it just might be time for this car to go into the winner's circle.
I couldn't agree more, Bob Fry. All right, back up at the starting line. There's the Randy Anderson car, the Jolly Rancher machine. Pontiac fiberglass replica body, as we said, qualified #1 at a 6.03. Had a bye in round #1, so far he's gotten here very easily. Stan Sipos, nothing is easy for that man. He had a horrible crash this year in Houston, completely ruined the car, which was new because he had a horrible crash at Maple Grove Raceway in the fall that wiped out the earlier car. And now he is driving a machine that he bought from the Anderson family. It's one of their last year's cars, and he returns to competition for the first time here in Memphis. Boy, this guy, he just got it in his blood, I guess. In fact, between his name there, it says Stan Crash Sipos. His own group put that on. Still beat him, but Anderson's problems have now been compounded with the lack of a parachute, and he is off at the far end of the racetrack. There you see just a cloud of dirt, and the car is upright. A super driving job by really a rookie, Randy Anderson. Let's watch it again here, Brock. First the race, then the shutdown area.
Well, there you see Sipos
doing a good job at the starting line against the young man from the Anderson family, who is such a great drag racing tradition. You certainly know that Randy doesn't like for horsepower here, but it's Sipos who does a super job, straight as an arrow, right down the drag strip, and he nips him in the lights. Good job by the man from British Columbia.
And Bob is with no shoot, Randy.
Well, I hit the chute, and I felt it hit for a second, and then speed wasn't decreasing like I knew it should. And about that time, I started getting on the brakes and it started bouncing. At that time, I just decided to keep it up on 4 wheels, keep it straight.
It's one of those learning experiences Dad told you about?
Yeah, these things are going to happen, and the car's fine. We'll go back, clean everything up, and get ready for the next race.
Compound the felony, he lost with a quicker 612 to a 615.
Yeah, but he showed some real good sense. And he tried to make a right turn on the road course here at Memphis. As you can, that car would still be flipping through that plowed cornfield. Here's how the final 4 sets up in the category. Stan Sipos, what a comeback. But he's up against VERN MOATS in the next round. And MOATS will have the lane choice. It could end there. Terry Mullins has lane choice up against Jackie Stidham, the man from Tennessee and the man from Oklahoma. Crowd loving it here. They don't care about the heat. Stay with us.
That is Tom Conway's wife here at the Autolite Sports Nationals, repacking the chute on her husband's top alcohol dragster. He will face Bill Barney in the top alcohol dragster final 4. Going to be interesting. But now let's go to the starting line, Steve Evans, where a pair of team cars come to the line in competition eliminator round 3.
That's right, a 32-car field started it out. We're now down to the round of 8. If they look alike, well, it's not double vision on your part. The cars are virtually identical B-Alders, both owned by David Nickens, one driven by Mike Edwards. Mike Edwards out of Houston qualified 17th, beat Tom Hayner in round number 2, and now goes up against the boss. David Nickens, the defending Winston champ in the category, qualified 13th, just 4 spots ahead of teammate Edwards. Both in B-Alders, so there is no start advantage on the Christmas tree, but there's one huge advantage for Nickens. You see, he owns both cars. He's the guy trying to win another Winston title, and you can bet he has told Edwards, if you win this race, walk right on through that cornfield where Randy Anderson went and get a bus back to Houston. We won't be needing you any longer. It is how Edwards will lose. It could be interesting. Will he feign breakage? There's a lot of different ways you can do it. I have no problem with this. This is team racing, pure and simple. You leave before the tree is even activated. That's how you do it. David Nickens storms on through. What a surprise. Nickens wins it with a 764. Edwards ran hard anyway, 769. So Nickens would have beat him with performance. They both run 179 miles an hour. Brock, look at this.
Unbelievable. But it's team racing. The man in the right lane is the winner, and he is the leader of the operation.
David Nickens, Dave, I've known you for a long while. I got to tell you, this doesn't come as a real surprise that you won that race.
Well, I tell you what, the 2-car concept kind of backfired on us. We ended up running each other, and I'll tell you, it's going to be a real good deal for our program. We've ended up testing a couple things that's got us here, and we're real happy with our other driver. He's doing an incredible job, and hopefully his day will be coming to win one of these races, and we're just happy for the exposure for Castrol and Oldsmobile and our new sponsor, Nationwide Fuels. And I tell you, it's going to be a real good deal asset to our team.
These guys run real well. They just got to study those ladders a little bit better.
Yeah, he'll win one all right, as long as he doesn't have to race David Nickens himself. All right, let's move on to a super competitive race, and this will be Arturo Delgado in the near lane. Beautiful car up against Steve Ambrose in the far lane as comp round 3 continues. Now, burnouts are complete. Ambrose has the lane choice and is darn glad to still be around here in the round of 8, because the fellow out of Woodhaven, Michigan qualified only 30th in a 32-car field to beat Mike Farrell in round number 2. Arturo Delgado from McAllen, Texas. He qualified far better and is, on paper anyway, favorite to win this thing. He qualified 18th. And you can see Delgado, because he has the slower index, his class a bit slower than Ambrose, he will get a starting line advantage. But reaction time to your own individual light, Brock, is still critical.
as it is, Steve, in virtually every class of drag racing. If you don't work the lights right, you don't win.
Well, Delgado worked his light pretty well, only 500ths away from an ideal light. Ambrose left yesterday. I mean, they thought the starter's going to have to go over and hit him upside the helmet with a wrench. A horrible light. Delgado wins it at 861, 157 miles an hour, 43 hundredths under the national index. And that's really what that index is all about. The further you run under your index, the quicker you qualify in the field. Reaction time, of course, is just mano a mano, driver against driver, as it always is, even though they may be delayed. But you're really running against that national index, and those that punish it the hardest win the most races. Simple as that.
Well, we're going to see a race between Todd Funderburk in the near lane versus Carl Mitchell in the far lane. But first, let's go to Bob with Arturo Delgado.
Arturo, congratulations to you. They got to turn off all these buttons and whistles. Nice job.
Thank you.
Happy with the way your car's running?
Yes, happy. My next round is better. I think so.
Take them one round at a time, huh?
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, Bry. ¿Se habla español? Apparently not. All right, this next race, there is a handicap difference between the two cars. Kind of a nice example of the typical comp elimination race. Todd Funderburk in the B economy dragster. The index there is 7.75 seconds. That's the nationally assigned index. Mitchell's B dragster, in that he's allowed to use more specialized equipment, has a quicker index because the car is quicker, and it's only 0.05 of a second, though, between Carl Mitchell of McCordsville, Indiana, and his opponent, Mr. Funderburk, Todd Funderburk of Alexandria, Louisiana. Let's see who leaves first. That'll probably determine the winner as close as these two qualify together. Now you see the numbers I was just talking about. It's really self-explanatory.
You know, it's interesting, Steve, that the NHRA does such a good job of making the rules stick, because there are all kinds of variations to these various classes, and they all keep these cars legal.
That's right. And it is Mitchell with a better light, just slightly, than Funderburk. Funderburk in the near lane trying to make it up, and he does it. To the relief of his crew, a 739 at 182 miles an hour. And that's a normally aspirated, carbureted car on gasoline, folks. 739, 182 miles an hour.
Okay, let's have another look at this race. Funderburk in the near lane, Mitchell in the far lane. Mitchell cuts a better light, but it's Funderburk who punishes, beats up on that index of his a whole lot better than Mitchell does. He runs a slightly better ET and moves into the next round with a really good, solid victory. But the competition increases, and will that victory be solid enough? Let's find out.
It's quite a job getting unwedged from that chassis, but Todd, you're going to have to do this at least one more time.
Hopefully we can.
You got a very tough assignment next round. You got to run Nickens.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Car's running extremely well here this weekend.
Yeah, well, it picked up a little in the heat. The bigger motors run a little bit better. Seems to help out in this air.
Well, the big motor's going to get one more shot at it, and that'll come against David Nickens in the next round.
Well, get that guy wound up, Brock. You just can't shut him up, huh?
You're looking at Glenn Angel, who will go against Tom Weakley. They qualified both sort of mid-pack. Their index is pretty close, Steve. I don't know. It's very hard to call a winner here.
Oh, I wouldn't try it either. I don't think Tom Weakley would, if you ask him. Weakley out of Tyler, Texas. His opponent, a fellow Texan from Baytown, Glenn Angel, whose family owns a construction company, some convenience stores, and more importantly to us, the beautiful Houston Raceway Park. And you can see there the Weakley will get the starting line advantage, 4800ths of a second, and that is almost one whole amber light on the tree. When we see him heads up with the alcohol cars, that's a 410 Pro tree, one yellow, one green. This is a little different, if you can see. There's a little more of a countdown, and the countdown is a bit slower. It is Angel with the better light in the far lane. Weakley coming on. Cannot catch him. Glenn Angel advances around with an 861, 156 miles an hour. That's almost a half a second under the index, and that's where you need to be, at least there, to be competitive. So the pairings for the comp final four find Arturo Delgado against Glenn Angel. Angel will have the lane choice. And the other half, David Nickens over Todd Funderburk. Nickens will have the lane choice, and you heard Todd say, boy, that'll be a tough one. Bob?
Glenn Angel toyed around running these roadsters for a while, and the way this car's running, you got to be asking yourself, why'd you ever do that?
Well, you know how that goes. You think you got, trying to get every advantage you can in this thing, and it's been a lot of hard work. We've really been working on the car, and you know, starting to show.
Hey, Glenn, from where you guys came, I mean, this is almost like a cooling trend here, isn't it?
Oh, well, I don't think so. It gets so hot in Houston this time of the year, and, you know, it's really, you know, it's about like it is at home right now.
Well, back at home right now, you're not in the next round of Comp Eliminator. You are here.
Okay, Bob. As we go back into the pit area, that's Vern Moat's bodywork. That's his funny car. He's going to face Stan Sipos in the Top Alcohol Funny Car Final Four later on. Stick with us. More to come from Memphis. Back in Memphis as we get ready to go with Top Alcohol Dragster Final Four competition. That is Brooks Brown. He will go against Blaine Johnson. Remember now, it's a supercharged car against this one, a nitro-burning, unblown engine in that Brooks Brown automobile. An interesting matchup coming up here. But first, let's go to Steve Evans.
You know, let me invite you to join a very special organization, the National Hot Rod Association. For just $48 per year, you get 48 issues of National Dragster magazine, a patch, a pen, a rule book, and a lot more. And if you order by calling the number on your screen, you'll get a free copy of Diamond T's video, Drag Racing 91. So make that call. In fact, Brooks Brown learned to read with National Dragster. Did you know that little known fact?
I thought it was Scientific American based on the technology that went into that nitro motor he's got in that thing.
Well, I tell you, that's his kind of surrogate father, Tom Topping, that's put all that together. This car is not cheap to run. Nitromethane fuel, very expensive, very hard on parts. But they hold the national record for the class at 5.89 seconds. Shocked everybody, but it's still not won a race. They hope to change that today. But a big favorite in the bar lane has got to be, oh, the red light, Blaine Johnson. Oh, what a rare mistake. Oh, Johnson will be suicidal. He runs 5.95, and it's blown away by the 6:01 from Brooks Brown because Johnson red lighted. We got to take a look at that again, and it's not even a close red light.
You wonder about that, Steve, with maybe there was a malfunction in the clutch or something, but he just never does it. That's the champion.
Blaine, a picture's worth 1,000 words. 5.95 in a red light. You got to be beside yourself.
Yeah, it's my fault. I screwed up.
Especially coming off of that last run, you had some performance problems. The car ran extremely well this time.
Yeah, you know, it was just, I felt like I was along at the lights there, and I couldn't wait anymore. It's just my reflexes took over. I left the line too early.
The ultimate competitor, boy. These guys don't like to lose, and that's tough when you run a 95. Low ET and go out.
Well, he was not blaming it on the other driver, as sometimes happens. They call a burn down. Now, there was no burn down there at all. Sometimes if you stage first, you just feel like, boy, I've been here a long time. And like you said, your reflexes just take over. It has happened to every driver in this sport. I don't care who they are. Let's again go back down to Bob Bright with the winner of that contest, Brooks Brown.
Brooks Brown. Brooks, a win is a win, and you'll take him any way you can get him. It's good to beat the red car, huh?
Yeah, finally, I got that red car. Yeah, win's a win, and I'll take it any way I can get it.
How's your car performing?
It didn't do that well that time. It nosed over on the top end. We'll figure that out. We'll look at the computer sheet and see why it did that, and come back and leave a good run for the final.
Good guys glad to be in the finals?
Good guys are glad to be in the finals.
And they are a bunch of good guys, too. In a Bass Lake, California, kind of up above Fresno there, where it actually snows a bit in California. Lovely bunch of guys having a great time racing that car, and that's their only motivation, is to have fun. Little different for Bill Barney in the Castro car on the left side of your screen here in the far lane. He's in this thing to try to make a living for he and his wife, and so far they've done pretty well. A good hole shot over Tom Conway. Conway in the near lane, the red car. Barney and Conway, what a drag race! And by the reaction of Linda Conway, you got to know who won. Her man Tom at 5.98, 231. Over Barney 6.08, 227 miles an hour. Bill Barney just didn't have the stuff upstairs.
That meaning, Steve, of course, the far end of the racetrack, not Bill's IQ, which is very high because you have to be pretty brainy to run one of these things in the first place. But look at that. Barney had a good lead on Conway at half track, but it was Tom that pulled it out with just raw power at the far end. As you said, upstairs was where he won it. So Tom Conway moves into the finals in top alcohol dragster against Brooks Brown. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. First time ever that nitro-powered, unblown race car Browns gets into the finals. Tom Conway been there a bunch before. It's going to be interesting. Let's go to Tom with Bob Frost.
The word in the pit area in top alcohol funny car for the better part of the last 2 seasons has been stay away from the red cars. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a new red car they got to stay away from.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I think we're in a 598. We're real happy with that because we've been experimenting all weekend and just started making pretty major changes yesterday afternoon, and it's starting to come around pretty good.
Since early in the season, this car's been running pretty well for you.
It's run pretty well, but sometimes when it's running good, I haven't been doing too good, and I hope today that we can get both of them on the same line.
That combination of car and driver may be a little bit too tough for anybody in this eliminator bracket.
Well, I know Bob meant the red cars in alcohol dragster racing. Stay with us. We'll be back with more from the Autolite Sports Nationals in Memphis. In fact, we'll have the alcohol Final Four funny car variety.
Back in the Autolite Sports Nationals. That's Terry Mullins in the near lane. He is going against Jackie Stidham in top alcohol funny car Final Four competition. Steve, the burnouts are complete. Mullins has the lane choice, but I tell you what, these guys are just about heads-up competitors.
And I think the lanes are pretty much heads-up too, Brock. Any problems we've seen with handling or control had nothing to do with the racetrack. If something went wrong, a broken rod and oil into the tires, or just simply overpower the racetrack, which you can do. Understand these cars have maybe 25, 2,600 horsepower. They've got to release a lot of it with the clutch. And if you don't do it all just right, find the balance, well, you're in big trouble. All right, it's Mullins from Tennessee. Stidham from Oklahoma. Man, Jackie Stidham just about lost it. Just about had a 2 car, as a matter of fact. Well, Stidham was lucky he didn't hit anything. Mullins was lucky Stidham crossed the center line because he had some kind of mechanical problems and slowed to a 768 at only 123 miles an hour. Maybe we can find out what happened to both of these guys. Brock, if we look at it one more time.
Yeah, exactly, Steve. But good reaction time, really, on the part of both guys, although Mullins had a better lead. He appeared to be running real well. There's Stidham getting all sideways. I don't think Mullins saw that. That had no effect on him. There you see Stidham cross the center line. You see the belt fly out, apparently, from underneath a Mullins car, which slowed him up. So he will move into the finals, but definitely not with lane choice against this pair.
Nope, MOATS has the lane choice, 613 versus the 615. Sipos has been quite a factor here, though. First of all, beating Randy Anderson, the time when she bought this race car. And all in all, it's been an exciting comeback weekend for him. Right now, let's go down to the far end and Bob Fry. See what happened to Jackie Stidham.
Jackie over the center line. That's a tough way to go out.
Yeah, it is. Well, I seen him and I was trying to chase him down. I didn't know something happened to him, and by the time I seen him fall down, well, I couldn't get out quick enough to go across the lines. You win some, you lose some, huh? It's like been nice to have been in the final round, though.
You at least got to be happy the way the car's been performing.
Oh, yeah, we stepped it up. It felt a little better then, but it also went into more violent tire shakes. The reason I got jumped to the left there, I should have just got out of the throttle a little quicker.
Well, tough break for Jackie Stidham. For the time machine, time is not on their side today.
Well, Bob, as you know, a lot of times time is the reason for that kind of tire shake they talk about. They try to make a lapse time with clutch instead of a combination of horsepower and clutch. Get the car to launch a lot harder. Well, when it does, it confuses those tires sometimes. They try to run over each other, and you get what they call shake. All right, it is time to shake, rattle, and roll with Stan Sipos and Vern MOATS. Canadian versus an Iowan. Canadian in the far lane. And as Sipos, we talked about his horrible crashes in the last year. Ooh, Sipos sideways, but drives out of it to the victory. Sipos at 660, 230 miles an hour. Boy, he can use that steering wheel when he has to, huh? Over Vern MOATS, 623. MOATS just slowed way down, 217 miles an hour. Watch that car in the far lane. Boy, it's something.
It sure is. There's Sipos, who's gets a pretty good launch, but right about here at probably around 170, 180 miles an hour, the car gets real loose. And as you said, Steve, he steered right through it, didn't lift the throttle, and made a nice correction. And I'll tell you what, that is a lot hairier than it looks at the kind of control level that these cars are running at. And he held onto it and drove it straight through the lights to the victory. He is in the finals.
And a good sprint car driver would have been proud of that effort. Dan Sipos versus Terry Mullins in the final round. The Canadian Sipos has the lane choice. The lead advantage when we get there. Let's go to Bob Fry. He's with that very man.
Stan Sipos is sponsored by Apex Gym Equipment, and you got to work out just to handle this thing, son.
Well, I tell you, that was a tough, I had a tough round that time. When I staged the car, I was bringing it in and I couldn't hold it. It was kind of creeping, so I actually had to take off the throttle. We were already both staged. And fortunately, I guess I don't know how late it was that I left. And when I left, I was really concentrating on driving the car. So it was a real tough job. And this is one of those hard-fought. I don't know what happened to Vern. He must have slowed down because I can't imagine that we went fast enough to just beat him on performance. So it was one of those. This is where all you people that kind of watch this sport sometimes, I tell you, my mind must have jumped about 2 million times because I was thinking, oh no, this car's moving forward, it's going to red light. And then you lose the race. Then I launched and I'm trying to shift it because there's a bump in the right lane, so I was having trouble with that. And our clutch, the round before, we'd kind of fried it and we didn't have a chance to change it. So it was definitely exciting in there, and I just hung on, and here we are. Good to go into the final.
Stan's got a chance to go pump iron between rounds and build all those muscles up for the finals.
Well, I think the interview wore him out a lot more than the run itself. All right, stay with us. We will be back for the Final Four in Competition Eliminator. In fact, they're already headed for the staging lanes.
Welcome back to Memphis, Autolite Sports Nationals. I'm Brock Yates along with Steve Evans and Bob Fry. And Steve, we got David Nickens versus Todd Funderburk. And last time we saw Nickens, his teammate went down pretty easily. Oh, Mike Edwards. But I'll guarantee you Funderburk isn't going to do that.
Oh, no. Funderburk is not going to go into the tank with that B economy dragster. And Nickens, even though the dragster would look to be the quicker automobile, I mean, it's light and it's sleek and it's built like an arrow, it doesn't have the performance that Nickens does. Nickens actually gets a significant starting line advantage, 35/100ths of a second. It'll be up to Funderburk to stay calm and stay poised, even though Nickens has always left the starting line. And I think it's the hardest part of this kind of racing.
Oh, definitely. It takes enormous mental discipline to be able to watch a car that is unto itself very quick leave a matter of nearly a third of a second before you do, and you sit there and watch them run away from you down the drag strip, and then you got to keep the car under control while you're running it down.
The levelers, though, you give the guy with the handicap advantage the first chance to red light, but Nickens doesn't do anything like that. In fact, he cuts an almost perfect light. Oh, he just punched Funderburk right out of Memphis Motorsports Park with a 765, 179 miles an hour. That is 4,400 under the index. Let's have another look.
Well, there you see a classic example of this kind of sportsman competition. You see Nickens leave first. Good reaction time. Funderburk trying to chase him down, but the reigning champion is just too much, as he has been for a couple of seasons now with that Oldsmobile, and he moves into the finals here against either Glenn Angel or Arturo Delgado. We find out about him in a minute, but let's go to Nickens right now.
David Nickens, you're in that #1, and this time I can say congratulations. Good run, David.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. I tell you, we really struggled this weekend, and we're going to have our hands full in the final. We've worked real hard, a lot of information off both cars put together, and I'm going to have to get my act together up there driving. As good Lord's with us, we're going to win this race.
I'll tell you what, the rest of the field should struggle like these guys are.
I'd like to be somebody over in the pits taking orders right now for Nickens Brothers Racing Engines. This kind of performance sells a lot of product. All right, up next will be Arturo Delgado versus Glenn Angel. As Brock said, one of them will have the distinct pleasure of racing David Nickens in the Competition Eliminator Final.
Yeah, that is a dubious honor, needless to say. These cars, as you can see, they're indexed almost identical. The Econo-altered of Angel's, the G-altered of Delgado. Angel will get whatever. That is hardly even a useful starting line advantage. I mean, these guys are good, but what, a 1/100th of a second?
Yeah, that's right. You can't even blink your eyes in 100th of a second. All right, it is Angel and Delgado. Angel in the near lane, right-hand side of your screen. See if you can tell who cuts the better line. Well, what did you think? Which one?
Heads up drag race as far as I can see.
It was Angel in the near lane. Okay, look at this. It is when Angel wins it at 863, 156 miles an hour. That is 42 hundredths under the index as compared to Nickens 44 hundredths under. So Nickens will have the lane choice by 2/100ths of a second. Boy, it was a real good start by both guys.
It sure was. This looks like a pro stock race rather than a sportsman competition, as these guys had really a heads-up start, and it was a super drag race all the way. It looked as if maybe Delgado was going to pull it out, but Angel here in the white car in the near lane just squeezed by him in the lights. It took electronic timing to figure out who won that one.
And the comp final will be an all-Texas affair. 2 Lone Star Staters, David Nickens, as we said, with lane choice, over track operator Glenn Angel. Bob Fry is with the comp finalists.
Glenn, you got to be tickled to death. You're going into the finals.
Oh, man. I'm so excited. I mean, you know, we've worked hard, and, you know, I've got a good opponent over here we got to race with.
He said he's been struggling. What do you think about that?
Them boys are pretty darn good. We've struggled a lot longer than they have.
Think you might need more than an Angel to win in the last round?
I don't know. I need everything I can get to win the last round with them guys. They're tough competition.
It's going to be a great run. Glenn Angel, David Nickens in the finals in comp.
We're down to finals in all 3 of our categories today here at the Autolite Sports Nationals. In fact, here we eavesdrop into the pits of Tom Conway. They'll be racing that nifty little nitro car of Brooks Brown. Stay with us. Just the finals to go.
Well, it's finals time at the Autolite Sports Nationals here at Memphis Motorsport Park. That is Stan Sipos' pit area. He's going to go against Terry Mullins in the top alcohol funny car final, but we got a whole lot more final action as well, Steve.
That's right. Let's look back at the other champions here from the Autolite Sports Nationals in the remaining sportsman categories. In the Superstock final in the far lane, it was Jeff Stealy versus Mike McKinney in the near lane. It was McKinney in that near lane automobile. Pontiac with a better reaction time, just 400ths off the light. The vintage Corvette of Steely's trying to come on, and yes, he did. Just out muscle in the Superstock final, 10.32, 128 miles an hour for the winner, Jeff Steely. Our congrats to him, and also to the winner of Stock Eliminator. The rules far more restrictive there. The competition just as tough. Gail Pinkston pulled it off there. And in Super Comp, where they race heads up on a breakout index, Edmund Richardson scored. In Super Gas, well, Jim Gross has the trophy, the prize money, and the ribbon around his neck. Right now it is time for the competition eliminator final. Who do you like, David Nickens or Glenn Angel, Brock?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Glenn was very, very explicit when he said those boys, he was talking about Nickens and his crew, are tough to beat. And I don't think there's any question that everybody in this place has to agree.
Well, and I think what Nickens said, though, I've got to get real sharp up there in the lights. Let's remember his own teammate. He didn't have to cut a light there. FUNDERBURK was not that much competition. He was not forced to really drill a light there. Now he's got to be dead on time.
Okay, we'll find out right now.
Angel, the last to stage. RPMs come up. Angel leads first, followed by Nickens. Nickens has the better light by 0.08 of a second. If he doesn't make a mistake, he may get by. He gets by cleanly. David Nickens is your Autolite Sports Nationals champion competition eliminator at 769 to 178 miles an hour. Brock, I don't know if we could really see it, but Nickens had an outstanding light.
Yeah, it really, you need the electronic timer to tell you that, but you can see, first of all, it's deceiving because Angel leads first. But Nickens now playing that classic game of catch-up that makes this kind of competition so exciting to the fans. They just love it when a guy starts late and then runs down his competition in the lights. And that's exactly what happened here. And there is your victory, and by a wink. Let's go to the winner.
Coming into this Memphis race, David Nickens lists his occupation as drag racer. That's like saying Elvis Presley was a singer. You did well.
Well, Bob, I sure thank you. I tell you, we've had a real tough weekend. We've struggled all weekend. We've compiled a lot of information, and it's proved the two-car team will work very successful. And most of all, I want to thank the good Lord for helping us all weekend, helping us do the job. And for Castrol, Oldsmobile, and their new sponsor of Nationwide Fuels, we're really happy. And I'll tell you one thing. I don't want to say too soon. Last year, this was a turning point for us to win the championship, and David Rampy's really got a lead on us, but we're really going to try to give him a run for ourselves this weekend.
He was a pretty nice guy. You thanked the Lord and you beat an angel.
Well, Glenn and I are pretty good friends. I tell you, we test a lot at Houston and everything. We've had a lot of real tough races, and we enjoy racing him, you know, and he's a very good competitor, and we're just happy for Castrol that we're right here in this winner's circle. It might start good things for us.
Another great win for David Nickens.
And Bob Price, just a little devil. Stay with us. We'll be back for the alcohol finals.
Well, Steve, I'd like to say we got 2 races left, and they're all alcohol-powered, but that's not really the case because we've got a nitro car that kind of slipped into this deal. That's Brooks Brown, of course, and that unsupercharged nitro-powered automobile goes against Tom Conway in a more conventional alcohol dragster with a supercharger on top.
I looked it up in my handy-dandy Winston Drag Racing Media Guide. It has been since 1977 at Ontario Motor Speedway, the Winston Finals, since an injected nitro car has won a national event. That was Davey Settles. He is no longer racing, but ironically manufactures the all-important fuel pump that is on this car. So if this car should win Settles, we'll have a hand in it. Oh boy, little smoke off the tires of Conway. Conway been sideways, and the nitro car has done it. The kids from Bass Lake, California, Brooks Brown, 608, 220 miles an hour, a very respectable reaction time, and the hair will come flowing out from under that helmet. Oh, what a great job they've done.
Good job by the young man from California. Brooks Brown gets a good launch. Conway does as well. It's a super drag race, really. It boils down to a question. It is raw power out of that nitro motor, and good driving on the part of Brooks Brown. It keeps her straight and steady, and on the way to their first ever victory with that car. Let's go to Bob Fry and the winner.
Brooks Brown's too young to remember when these injected nitro cars were the scourge of the West Coast, but you guys might start another new trend.
Oh, this is great. You bet we are. We're going to have so much fun this year. We're going to keep this up like you won't believe.
Setting the record last year, now winning the national event. You guys got to feel you've got a real handle on this thing.
We're getting better at it, yeah, and we're having more fun as we go along.
Hey, Brooks, try to happy up a little bit when you win one of these.
Oh, boy.
What a
great.
What a great job. Brooks Brown wins it for the injected nitro car.
You know what I ran?
Who cares, Brooks? You won. That's what really counts. It's time now to go to the alcohol 20 car final. Another great story there. They just keep on coming, don't they? Stan Sipos back from all of those crashes in a kind of a used car, very good used car. And here he goes into the final round up against Terry Mullins. Just great story. Great racing all day long in the category.
No question. Interestingly enough, too, Steve, Sipos has the lane choice. They have by a big margin. Remember, Mullins had that problem the last time out, and he only ran a 768. So it will definitely be to Sipos' advantage, although so far we haven't seen a lot of major differences in these lanes. So he's going to have to run hard no matter which lane he's in.
Canadian car in the near lane. Car from Tennessee, Terry Mullins over on the far side. This is the Autolite SportsNATIONALS alcohol 20 car final. Who will stage first? That was Terry Mullins. He moves in a red light for Mullins, but they're still going to race it out. And we'll give you the numbers as they come up. Sipos would have won that race, red light or not. A 6:10 to a 612 for Mullins, 231 to a 221. So Stan Sipos can stand tall. Red light or not, he outperformed his competition to run it all the way to the finish line.
He sure did. There you see the fatal red light on the part of Terry Mullins. That puts him away instantly. But he didn't give up and forced Sipos really as a badge of honor to win it fair and square. Let's go to the winner.
It's amazing that in the course of just a couple of weeks, a car can go, or a driver can go from such a low, that crash down there at Houston, to such a high winning here. Stan, congratulations.
Boy, I tell you, this was a real battle. For everyone, I'd like to just kind of say sometimes people don't know what it's like out here. We battled tooth and nail. It was just like war out here. I took this as war. And I got to thank people like Pat Austin for showing the way and on consistency that you got to pull through no matter what. My crew did a fantastic job. The racetrack was tough. It was a new car. I had a hard time driving it. We lost a motor last weekend in Houston, but damned, here we are, and it feels absolutely fantastic, and I don't know what else to say.
That's all you got to say. He has experienced the highs and the lows in the period of just a couple of weeks. Stan Sipos, winner in Alcohol Funny Car.
And our congratulations to him. And thanks to you, Bob Fry, for great work all afternoon. And congratulations as well to all the winners here at the Autolite Sports Nationals. For Steve Evans, I'm Brock Yates. Thanks for joining us.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Supervising producer, John B. Mullen. Produced and directed by Mark Kuchin. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by this special offer from Diamond P.
They take it to the limit and beyond. They force body and machine to the extremes of endurance. Often unpredictable, always spectacular. That's the reason Diamond P Sports has once again opened its action-packed archives to produce a dramatic new video entitled And They Walked Away Too. The blazing inferno of high-performance gone awry. Open-wheel sprint cars locked in death-defying ballets. The heart-stopping drama of unbelievable two-wheel disasters. Awesome displays of man and metal turned to mayhem. To get your copy of And They Walked Away Too, send $24.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to the address on your screen. Or better yet, call 1-800-767-9700. Visa and MasterCard accepted, no CODs. That's 1-800-767-9700. Call today.
The American Sports Cavalcade is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.